the captions?
All right, so we are here today. Hello, Tina. Hello to you and your strengths.
Hello, Tiffany.
Hi. So we are here with Tina and Original Tina for our episode of the podcast, Van Go For It. And I am Tiffany Taylor, owner of Hello Strengths, and my top 5 Clifton Strengths are input, maximizer, positivity, learner, and strategic. And Tina's top 5 are input, belief, strategic, developer, and self-assurance. So Tina, what do you get paid to do and what are you passionate about?
Well, the goal is to get paid for my passion, but I get paid to load packages in package cars. So I play with cardboard for about 3.5 to 5 hours in the morning, probably earlier than anybody can ever think to try to get up. And then my passion is painting and being able to communicate or bridge communication or help build understanding through art and creativity, as this is the best that I can explain
Mm.
myself in those things.
All right. So we're just gonna get right into it. We're gonna dive into your top 5. In a little bit, we're going to play a game that I love called QTW, which is question, task, and watch out for. So we're going to play that little game in a little bit, but I want our listeners and you to have a chance to get to know your strengths a little bit better and
Cool.
therefore your strength story and you a little bit better. So we'll start with input, which is a strategic thinking strength. So of the 34 themes or Clifton strengths, they are grouped into leadership domains. And so one of those leadership domains is strategic thinking. You actually have 2 strengths in that domain, your first one being input. Now, input, you love gathering information, right? So people with input, high input, love gathering information, people, relationships, things, right? So, can you give me an example of where input has shown up for you in your life?
Makes total sense. So you want a work related or like a home related or art
Whichever
related?
related you want. Just
Okay.
how an example of how input has shown up where you collect things, people, relationships, things.
Um, so let's see. Collecting information. It feels like that's every single day. Like from the minute I wake
Mhm.
up. That's what my brain's trying to do. And for whatever reason, I don't know, I guess I'm a hoarder. But but I would say for art, I'll stick with like what I'm passionate about. When it comes to input for that, it's collecting like continual training and you
Mm,
know if it like Bob Ross said, if anybody can paint, they just have to practice. So you really have to kind of collect those pieces of how to do that in order
mm,
to exemplify that, to be able to put that out there. So
mm,
the more information I gather, the more that I can share, and the more that I
mm,
know, the more that I can help resolve issues. So every single day of my life, whether it's art, work, or like just, going to the gas station, I'm collecting information because it's either survival, that's probably a good point of it, or or it's
Uh,
results, and I like to produce
yeah.
results. So yeah.
All right. Let's roll into belief. Now, belief falls in the executing leadership domain. So that's the, getting things done, right? But specifically, you belief is an idea, an assumption where you are very focused, right? And it's unwavering. It doesn't change no matter how much chaos is around you. There are things that you hold to be true that you believe are a standard that you follow. And so that is not shaken, that does not waver. Um, is there anything that you can think of in your mind when it comes to art, when it comes to creativity? What is the belief that you have of creativity that is unwavering, does not change for you?
um I guess the number one thing that is constant is that it's different in everybody's eyes and everybody's mind. That the constant is that it's always changing and always different. That's the constant, and it the fact that that remains a constant, and it doesn't matter how far forward you go in the future or how far in the past you go. The
Yeah.
constant is how everything either can progress or how things have changed or how evolution is there. So for me in creativity, the one thing that is never going to change is that I'm going to produce art that no one has seen, touched, or even seen parts of it. So like this is from a movie, right? Like we just
Mhm.
we just did a live on this. This is from a movie, but there's things in this that you don't see. And you're not going to see it unless you're at this level, unless you've got the original in front of you. So maintaining originality
Mm.
um is probably what it boils down
The
to.
central theme. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that doesn't change, and it doesn't matter if it's a photo from a movie. It's going to be like different. And I know you guys have seen this where it looks like an image, but if you turn to the side, it's like 20 different
Yeah.
things put together to make that image. That kind of concept.
Yeah. Mm. Okay. I'm resisting the urge right now to dive deeper into that, to move on to the next story, because I know we
It's a
only have a
rabbit
certain
hole.
amount of
It
time.
really is.
So that's really interesting. So we'll just have to, yeah, continue that conversation on another episode of the podcast, because
Totally.
I'm going to move on. Okay. So your third strength is strategic, and strategic is in the strategic thinking leadership domain. And you and I actually share input and strategic. So strategic is in my top 5 as well.
Makes sense.
Um, people who have high strategic, in my own words, the best way that I like to describe it is that there's no right or wrong way. There's not one or two ways. There are 10 different ways, and you can see them all, and you can see them all very quickly, right? So, whereas if, you're in chaos or in this like, and very interested in how this shows up in your artwork that you do and in your creative process, because it's something that you've definitely helped me narrow down. Because when you sit down to create, even before the moment that you sit down to actually physically create something, there are so many options, like, and there's no right or wrong way, and you just tapped on that a little bit. But what is the strategy that you have in place for your artwork to make sure that you are consistently making art and staying true to your originality that you talked about?
Action.
Just do.
Action. Just do it. Just do it. If you talk about it, if you think it, you're going to talk too much and you're going to overthink. So
Yeah.
just do it. Pen to paper, paint to canvas, just do it. Have a plan. Put that plan over here because you're going to
Mhm.
deviate. But taking action is how you're going to get results. So for me, strategically seeing all these components, all these things like a painting that's abstract, right? That's probably a good comparison or metaphor, if you will, because people are like, how do you just come up with this stuff? How do you just come up with this random stuff? I just literally put paint on canvas and let it be, let it become what it's supposed to be on the canvas. Because everything that we do, in my belief, um, everything that we do is based off a series of choices that we're already going to make. Um, we just don't know which one we're going to make. So everything that we do based off a series of choices, it was a choice to put this paint here. It was a choice to put that paint there. And then believing that it's going to become something is where changing your perspective and turning the painting and
Mhm.
adding those elements that where you see the bigger picture, you see all these things coming together. Like say I had 5 organic shapes to put on this, right?
Mhm.
Seeing how those things individually are and how they could work together in different ways is kind of a curse and a blessing, if you will, because then it clouds your thinking and you're like, there's too much going on and
Yeah.
there's too many wheels spinning, right? Like
Yeah.
you got oh dang it, you got too much going on. um it's an occupational hazard.
Yeah.
But then if you believe that it's going to become what it was meant to be, if the painting is going to live as it was meant to be, then it's going to land there, right? And
Mhm.
that could be representationally something that looks like something is supposed to happen in a painting, or something completely abstract where it doesn't look like anything to anybody in particular, but one person can see this and be like, wow,
Mhm.
the colors and the shapes make that what it is. And so the belief and seeing all those things where they compound into a painting, that's where originality and ingenuity come from when it comes to
Mhm.
abstract painting. So it's having that ability to see that big of a picture, knowing how to manage the chaos, and then slapping it on a canvas that really makes it successful and original, you know.
You just gotta go. I love it. So my strategic is really loving your strategic, where it's like, there's 10 doors. Let's walk through all 10 of them and see what
Bust
happens.
them
I
down,
love it.
man. We're
Yeah,
infantry in this one. Let's kick
I
some
love
doors
it.
down.
I love it. So your fourth, again, I'm like practicing my self-control right now, not doing deep dive. So, fourth strength is developer. So that is in the relationship building leadership domain of Clifton Strengths. And so developer intentionally, somebody with high developer intentionally seeks out the opportunity to help other people grow. And I'm smiling because I can think of 10,000 examples right now in my head, and they all bring me joy. But for you, when it comes to your art, what opportunities or what are you doing in order to help other people develop and grow their art?
Well, being that you're the one that helped me get on board with, hey, just keep doing this and making consistency simple in my brain,
Mhm.
just making consistency simple, showing up every day at the same
Sunday,
time.
3:30. I'll see you at Sunday at 3:30.
We've been doing this for 3
Mhm.
years now.
It's crazy. Sunday at
How, and I
3:30 for
mean,
3 years. Yeah.
the fact that it remains is by far the biggest obstacle that I've ever personally overcome as an artist, because I'm
Mhm.
so flibberty gibbet. I'm so, let's change and go. I'm so,
Liberty
yeah, let's go through
Jimmy.
that ninth door. We got two others. Let's go. We
Yep,
got another door to
yep,
go through. Like
yeah.
that's the curse of that, is that like I'm
Mm.
not, like, I wanna finish. I have 1,000 paintings I need to finish, and I wanna
Mhm.
finish, right? I gotta finish.
Yeah.
So, like, knowing that if I can be consistent for 3 years and just showing up on a live, because the hard parts that everybody else finds hard, which is, like, having personality on camera in front of people and having
Uh-huh.
people like you, like, I don't care if people like me, I'm just gonna show up because they naturally usually do, and that's just
Yeah,
my history with it, and if they don't, then okay, we're good. I don't
yeah,
have to have you here. It's
yeah.
fine. But with just consistently showing up, like making that so simple for me, that's been the number one thing with being able to even say that hey, I paint for a living now.
Yeah, you just Van Gogh for it. You just do it
Yeah.
Sundays at 3:30 consistently. I love it. Okay, there's so much, and clearly this is a single episode of a podcast. There's so much that is going to come in these from these conversations. I'm going to force myself again to move on to your last, but not least, of course, strength, which is self-assurance, which is in the influencing leadership domain of Clifton Strengths. And so somebody with self-assurance, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? That you show up, and we've heard this in your descriptions kind of bleed into the other descriptions of your strengths. You show up with this assurance, this confidence in yourself to manage and get things done, or to know what the answer is. And so that confidence and that trust in yourself um, is definitely something that I've heard you talk about through your other strengths.
Mhm.
And I'm, happy to know that that is on in your top five, because this game that we're going to go in and play really helps to have some self-assurance or trust in your answers. So instead of doing a deep dive, a little bit of a deep dive on self-assurance, we're going to move right into QTW. It's what I call it, which is question task, and then watch out. And so for question, I'm going to ask you a question specific to in a task. I'm going to ask you a question. And this is for each of your top 5 strengths. I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to ask you to give an example of a time where you've completed a task. And then I'm going to ask, like, what should you look out for? And you've kind of hinted towards some of your strengths already where they can be like a blessing, but also a curse. Like, and so that's the what to look out for, right?
Gotcha.
When things can be in the shadows, or our weakness, or our default, like our downfall, right? So whatever word you want to use it, it's our strengths bring out our natural talents, but they also can show up for us in ways that don't serve us. And that's the like what out part of it, or watch
Mm,
out part of it. Okay.
gotcha.
So ready to play this game with me?
Let's do it.
All right. So for input, what resource do you think is the resource that you have collected over your years of creating art that is the most valuable resource that you have? It can be a person, place, a tool, a book, it could be whatever, but what do you think is the most valuable resource that you've collected over the years doing art?
I'd say it's the little tidbit of knowledge that I always refer to in every single painting that I learned from my painting instructor in undergrad, which was don't get attached and turn the painting, change your
Mm,
perspective. And that bleeds across life, but it
mm,
especially it rings true to these paintings that I do and all the work that I do is don't get too attached.
mm.
Don't expect it to be what you think it's going to be because it's going to change. And then change your perspective.
I love it. Okay. So now can you give me an example of a task or an action where you were able to identify like your specialization?
So if I had to say, um, wow, I mean, there's so many opportunities to speak to on it, but specifically, it's when I'm commissioned for a painting, it's the level of confidence I have that I'm going to do that, and then the level of anxiety and stress that I have that there's a possibility that I can't do that.
Mm.
Um, like there's that hint of self-doubt that's in there,
Mhm.
because I can exude confidence all day and I'll fake it till I make it. But um, yeah, just trying to trying to finish a commission piece and
Mm.
have the viewer, the person that's commissioning it, be like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, or that's exactly what I needed. Um, that task it's like gut wrenching for an artist,
Mm. Yeah.
It's like your photographer getting the perfect shot on your wedding day and like knowing that
Mhm.
what they just took was going to speak to you and everything that you wanted to take away from that moment. So it's
Mhm.
kind of along the same lines when it comes to creativity and the work that I create. Um, and it's the expectation and knowing as an artist, you're not already not gonna live up to other people's
Mm.
expectations. But
Yeah.
when you get a piece of work that's commissioned, there's an expectation. And
Yeah.
you have
And
you have
so
to
yeah,
remember that. Yeah.
you have to remember that. Yeah. I like that. All right. So the W is watch out for. See
Mhm.
if, and this is more of like you agreeing or disagreeing with this. But for input, would you say you have to watch out for going off on tangents?
Yeah, I would say that squirrel moments happen far more often than they should.
Uh-huh.
But if you have those and you know that it's just who you are and it's uncontrollable, you've got to have a way to reel yourself back in.
Mm-hmm.
And so like realizing, oh yeah, I need to focus. Like I started doodling with this and this on the live for no reason, and then I had to put it down. Well, knowing that I had this in 30 minutes to explain what I was doing, I kept
Mm-hmm.
that as a tool because when I don't know if you've ever seen this where kids, if they take tests and they have test anxiety, if they're given a piece of paper and a color pencil and they doodle, they do better on the
Mhm.
test because
Mhm.
their energy and their focus and everything that's wired in there that's
Mhm.
going, garfunkeled, it's coming out
It
on
has a way
paper.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that helps them focus. So for me, it's like doodling during a test, and I've always been that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So that's just an example of how that kind of help gears and controls that so it doesn't go off track. Because in my mind, as an abstract artist with abstract impressionism being legitimately the wiring of my brain, like you can physically see what that looks like
Yeah.
in this nut house, then
My favorite nut house.
then it
I love it.
yeah, it
Uh,
definitely helps if you know your weakness, you know how to get back and get grounded if you
yeah.
can't
Yeah.
maintain. So,
That is a very mature input right there, where it's you recognize that something is not serving you, and that doesn't, you don't carry shame with that. It's just a recognition of how you function in the world and seeing how you need to adjust so that you can create the beautiful art that we get to see. So, yeah, thank you.
yeah.
All right. So, belief, QTW on belief. Question: how do you honor your values each day?
Mm, just keeping my integrity at its highest for myself in every aspect of life, not just work, but every aspect of life. And then continuously finding ways to better myself because just when I think that I'm good, there's improvement needed.
Right. I love it. All right. So, how do you give a voice to your values?
That didn't take much. I'm super loud. Um, no, to give voice to value, I lead by example. I try to
Mhm.
exemplify. Um, I hold my integrity to high standard, and that means I have high standards, and
Mhm.
that's not easy to deal with in any aspect of life, work, personal,
Mhm. Yeah.
artistry. Like even
Yeah.
as someone that works creatively and just makes things come to life on
Mhm.
canvas, it's it's still very it can be very daunting, to still maintain and
Yeah. Yeah,
so
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
yeah, you got to
Would
lead by
you
example.
would you agree, for the watch out for, would you agree that with belief, as someone who has high belief, that you have to watch out for being set in your ways?
I feel like I have to watch out for being naive and
Mm.
thinking how things in the world are, and I feel like I'm a late developer when it comes to this because I truly have high hopes and beliefs for everybody until
Mhm.
they just prove me wrong, and then I'm just like flabbergasted. The
I'm
audacity for
good.
them to prove
Yeah.
me wrong that they are actually a really terrible person when I thought they were
Yeah.
good, like that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
That's the watch out for me.
Yeah, the watch
So,
out for 'em. All right. What about strategic? So the question I have for strategic um, how do you overcome what options you have when you sit down to do your artwork? And you did talk a little bit about this already. So feel free to say, I already answered that, Tiffany, but you did answer this a little bit already. But what are some things that you do before you sit down, to help you narrow down what options you have whenever, because you have a lot of options. You could sit down there
mhm.
and maybe it's a commission piece that you have, maybe it's your live you're doing on Sundays at 3:30 on Facebook, maybe it's, something you're doing for yourself or a loved one. Like, so how do you maintain and narrow down what options you have when you're doing art?
Yeah, so like a good example are the Valentine's cards that I'm making. There's so
Okay.
many options for Valentine's cards. I don't even necessarily like to celebrate the Hallmark holiday that it is, but I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of people that do, and I can earn income off of that by helping them.
Mhm.
And I gear it towards helping people. I don't gear it towards the holidays. So like busy men that want to give their spouses or women that want to give their
Yeah.
spouses a special gift or a special card that they've put
Mhm.
thought into but just don't have the energy to do. It
Mm.
takes a lot of
Mhm.
guesswork out when you have someone that that's going to make a card that's meaningful
Yeah.
because you know them, you know they're going to make it meaningful for your partner, And so
Yeah.
narrowing down the options for that is just not going into what the worldly perspective of the holiday is for me. It's
Mhm.
going and taking a deep dive into each individual person that commissions one.
Yeah.
And a Valentine's card is a commissioned piece because I will sit for hours and practice on different cards and then have multiple
Yeah.
cards and then make sure that I've got the right saying. So I put a lot of work into it
Mhm.
because it means something to me to get a card from Jared that he's either made or put time into
Yeah.
picking. And
Yeah.
so for anybody that you want to express love to, that's
Yeah.
what like the drive is
Yeah.
for that. Just and
Yeah.
to narrow it down to those options, it's just like you have to kind of get down to a molecular level of the purpose of what you're doing. For abstract pieces, it's narrowing down multiple references to just
Mhm.
pieces of those references and how they fit together on the canvas, changing the perspective and seeing the
Mhm.
bigger picture for what it could be. Not what it
Mhm.
is yet, but what it could be.
Yeah. I was just and that just reminded me of the time that we came together in Van Gogh for it. It was one Sunday, and it was guess the album cover. Remember that? You're talking about like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. But oh, that was so much fun. And then also my brain goes to, yes, artists need to get paid. And so part of the strategy as an artist, and you're saying moving from, you have your paid work, your passion, you're trying to be paid for your passion. That means you have to be strategic about when you sit down to do art, how much, if you're spending X amount of hours, because you got to get paid for your passion. So
Mhm.
wheels are spinning, wheels are spinning. Okay. So next we're going to move into developer. So question, do you find yourself frequently asking yourself or looking for opportunities to mentor other people through art?
All the time, whether it's through art or, hey, you probably shouldn't do that because the
Yeah.
result of that is like
Yeah.
death or hurt. Like, let me just save you some
Death
time.
or pain.
It's
Death
like
or pain.
parenting every single person that I run up on, and I don't
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
why I do it. I just do
Yeah.
it. This guy was walking down the sidewalk last night. I mean, it was like 11
Yeah.
PM. He's walking and he's talking to someone on his phone. We can hear the
Mhm.
conversation being outside,
Yeah.
and he's saying, I just ran this 5K and I made 16th out of 30 people, and
Yeah.
I'm second in my age group. And I was like, congratulations! Just out of nowhere in the dark. Scared the living
Oh
daylights out of
my
the guy, but
gosh.
I was like, "That's amazing, good
Listen, I love this
job."
because the T or the task that comes up in this game next is like an example of when you've taken time to encourage other people and you already just explained that. And then the watch out for developer is watch out for mentoring those who don't want to be.
You find out really fast those that just really are not a part of it, and you're like, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah. So, and I think that shows a very mature developer when you're like, oh, okay, like I stepped into a developing kind of thing right now that's not being welcome. So I'm just going to back off instead of trying to like push it. So, yeah. So you just
Yeah.
wrapped up the whole QTW in that one. All right. So I love it. So the last QTW is for self assurance. So with self assurance, the question you're asking yourself continuously maybe is what are my instincts telling me? Like you trust your instincts. You have instincts and you trust them. So can you um tell me a time about your self-assurance showing up for you and gathering information to make a well-informed decision?
Okay, the happy piece, remember the last happy piece with the green
Mhm.
and the circles?
Yeah.
So, I got
Oh, I
lost.
call I call it the bubble pop, by the
The
way. That's what I
bubble
call
pop,
the
I
bubble
love
pop.
that, I love that. I don't think that I've
Yeah.
made a name for it yet,
Mhm.
so I'll keep that in
Put it on the
mind.
list. Put it on the list. Mhm.
So with that one, I kinda got lost because of all the information, right? That's a good example
Mhm.
of losing my way with that one, and
Mhm.
I put it up, kept turning it, kept adding, added too much, kept turning it, took away, like, did everything that I know
Yeah.
to do, and then I stopped, I'm like, "What is missing?" Right? So I go
Mhm.
back to my basics, back to the 7 pieces that 7 elements that each painting's supposed to have in it that I learned in undergrad, and I really don't remember them off the top of my head. However, when you look at those, it was missing at least 3. So then I reminded myself and re-educated myself on those, and then
Mhm.
went back in with some fresher knowledge of
Mhm.
that, and then reworked it. And came right back to life. It came right
Mhm.
back to what it was supposed to be, and it was different than what I had thought or imagined, but it was way
Mhm.
better. And you can
Yeah.
tell, I don't know if you've seen the video of the reveal of my work that I did, and it was that abstract piece from my undergrad, and then
Oh,
that
yeah, the one that got away.
piece and the
Yeah.
comparison. So when you
Yeah.
look at comparison of art pieces like that from early on artwork to later artwork, you can see the education compounded
Mhm.
on one canvas. You can
Yeah.
see all the knowledge, all the experience
Yeah.
compounded on one canvas because I literally paint vomited all over that thing.
Yeah.
And when that happened and I did my method and worked my strategies and got overwhelmed with it, I paused, took a step back, changed perspective, re-educated, and then went back in and worked it. And now it's becoming what it's supposed to, which is where
Yeah.
the 15 and $25,000 paintings come from, because
Yeah.
that kind of work is not easy. And working
Mhm.
intuitively,
Yeah.
it just happens. I don't even think, oh, I've got to stick to my intuition. My
Yeah.
brain just automatically goes back through the processes of, if you will, trouble start, like when I was in
Yeah.
engineering, like going through it and troubleshooting. You have
Mm.
steps in troubleshooting. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like troubleshooting.
Mhm. I like that. Would you say with your self-assurance, is there any time that you come across to other people as overconfident?
Every single day of my life. Every moment I'm in public.
Listen,
Every
listen,
single moment,
I
someone
think
that doesn't
about
already know me and know how annoying I am and loud and boisterous and goofy and funny and just the joy in their life.
uh
Um, every single moment I'm in the general public, I'm worried about, like, okay, is it too much for these people? But I'm not worried about it until I've already done something. So like,
But listen, I love when I feel, because I really feel it. I see it and I feel when your developer and your self-assurance come together, and it might seem like something small or insignificant. However, when your developer and your self-assurance come together, even in the Sunday Van Go for It, like live, let's go back to that, right? Um, Remember the time where I was just so nervous to take scrape off, and for our listeners, I like to paint. I refuse to use paintbrushes most of the time. I use palette knives. So when I talk about scraping, like, taking paint off the canvas, I'm using a palette knife. But taking paint off, or literally taking a paper towel and like taking your mistake or where you don't see it going, taking it off. I asked and requested a full live 30-minute session of doing that because I was so nervous of making a mistake or doing. And your developer and self-assurance came, and you look at me like, yeah, without a doubt, like, yeah, you can do this. You can learn this skill. And I'm like, well, I guess if she's so sure of it, I guess I will. So I think when your developer and your self-assurance come together, I've really just seen it create, and it's not just developer and self-assurance, but in my mind right now, I just think about the dynamics of those strengths coming together.
mhm,
And I love that with self-assurance, other people too are benefiting from that confidence. And it really does feel like, even if it's a virtual interaction, when we're doing something, you're just so confident that the person on the other side of the screen, who you may or may not even know, can do it. And
yeah,
that comes across very clearly. So yeah, we're definitely gonna explore your developer and self-assurance in the future for sure. Cause I
yeah,
think in I think in the creative space and in art, it can be really intimidating, especially with somebody as talented as yourself, where you sit down and you can think to yourself, why am I even here? I'm not ever gonna be able to do that. So why do I even start? And I think you are very talented in bringing all these strengths together, that so if people feel confident where they are, and know that they can,
yeah.
grow. So
I mean,
that's
it's
my
like,
little.
yeah, it's definitely like teaching, someone that wants to be a doctor how to be a doctor. There's
Mhm.
steps to it. There's processes. You can't expect to be a doctor overnight, but
Mhm.
you have to trust yourself that it's okay. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to get the paint all over your clothes and everything. Like, it's okay to do that. And for someone
Mhm.
just to step in and say, "Hey, it's okay." A lot of people need that. It's kind of like, It's kind of like crowd theory, you know? You're
Mhm.
standing in line. Everybody keeps piling up behind the same person in line because that person doesn't know where to go. But because we see
Yeah.
everybody else doing it, they're doing it. And I'm like, the hell are we doing? I go up to the front, hey, it's okay to go over there. Like, what the hell are we doing? Like that kind of thing. That
I love it. I think that really summarizes in a really great way Van Gogh for it. Like, what the hell are we doing? We don't know. So guess what? We're just gonna Van Gogh for it. Like literally like summarizes everything. Like,
totally. I'm always
I love
looking like, why are we even doing that? Like I'm constantly questioning things like, what's the purpose of that? We can do that. And then there's door number 12.
it. Door number 12. All right. Well, out of respect for your
Yes.
time, we do have to end this, but I will say there are so many little nuggets, so many little things that we still have to talk about and unpack. So definitely going to have you back future episodes of this podcast. I want to say thank you to you. Thank you to your strengths. Thank you for your artwork. They all of those things have made a huge impact in my life, the life of others. And I can't wait to have you back on the podcast.
Oh, so glad we're lifelong friends because where I lack, you flourish, and where you lack,
Right.
we flourish. So,
Hey, together, yeah, together we'll just Van go for it, figure it out, right?
I mean,
So,
totally, totally. Watch out, world.
oh, all right. Well, thank you, Tina. For our listeners, follow an original Tina Facebook, Instagram. You can join her live Sundays at 3:30 in Facebook as well. And vangoforit.com. You can commission and browse the paintings that she has currently on her website. And yeah, keep in touch.
Absolutely.
All
Thank you so
right.
much for having me. It's been wonderful.
Bye.
Bye.